Today we're fishing for a new idea. We decided to deep dive on the fishiest people around. Kuo Toas, that's right.
Good intro, Tony. First try, too.
First try.
Way to go.
Fishy people.
A retry kind of guy.
Do you like fish in diapers? Well, I got the monster for you. Hello, everybody. My name is Tony, and joined with me today are two other fishy, smelly fish people in diapers, Kuo Toans, Jared and Dan. And before we go ahead and introduce them, we want to introduce ourselves as a certain type of Kuo Toas that we would be. And I think I would be one of the Archduke Priestess
Dang it.
Kuo Toan.
Took mine.
Jared was going to take mine. Jared's supposed to go first, by the way. You just...
Yeah.
Whoa.
Really? That's right. I would be the religious leader of the Kuo Toas, okay? The Archpriest.
The Archpriest, also known as the Viper God. We'll get into that. That's all fit stuff. Dan, what kind of Kuo Toa would you be?
Oh, I don't know now. I was going to say a priest. Hi, everybody. My name is Dan. I normally play Minas Pebblewalker in our main campaign, and today I'm just playing myself. Hello, and I would be the very last Kuo Toa that got cold just before everybody made it out of the pond.
Oh,
He's like, I'm gonna make it, and then he gets axed at the last second. Just to give you guys a little insight on how dark the Kuo Toa
Oh,
lore
so
can be.
dark. You're the last one out of the drowning pools. Yes. During their vicious culling cycle.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. How about you, Jared?
I'm Jared. I normally play Armos, but today I would be a Kuo Toa enforcer, a zealot.
Zealot?
Whatever
Is that how you
zealot?
pronounce that?
Zealot? I guess. I don't know.
I've always called it a zealot, but I don't even know how it's pronounced, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Anyways, I'd be just the enforcer, I guess, with my little net.
Yeah, so as I'm
and
trying to get out
grappling
of the pool, you're the one poking me.
hook. Get back here. Get back in here.
Get back.
I think that was a good segue going into the episode, actually, pronunciations, because I just want to ask, how do you pronounce this creature? How do you pronounce it? Let us know in the comments below, because Tony always says, say it, Tony.
Kuo Toa?
Yeah, you always say Kuo Toa.
Kuo Toa.
But it's spelled Kuo Toa.
Kuo Toa, yeah. Oh, yeah, my dyslexic ass puts the A where the O is. And I even
Toa.
search it like that, too. I search
Do you
KuaToo,
really?
like Too, and I'm like, oh, it's not Kuo 2. It's and I always correct myself that way.
Before I tell you how Forgotten Realms says it, Jared, how would you pronounce it?
Kuo Toa is what the Google Voice Translator says.
Kuo Toa.
So
I can see that. I can hear that.
Kuo Toa.
Yeah. I can definitely, some rules lawyer somewhere adjusting his glasses, closing the book, saying it like that. Absolutely.
The
100%.
Forgotten Realms link says it's pronounced Kuo Toa.
I'm not too far off. I think my inflection just kind of skews it a bit. I gotta be honest.
You put a more American accent on it. Kuo Toa.
Kuo Toa, yeah.
Say Koa.
Kuo Toa, yeah. That's me totally like taking the A where the swapping the A's and O, 100%.
Kuo Toa.
But yeah, so just in case you haven't caught on to what we're doing, before we talk about the most gaslit creatures in all of Dungeons and Dragons, we're gonna just break it down. So we're gonna do a deep dive on Kuo Toas, and we have done research over the last week where we did a little bit of a deep dive. We learned about them, what they're all about, what they do, how they're doing it, why they're doing it the way they're doing it, and realized that they have a much darker history.
That's right. We went fishing for all the great information and brought it to your...
Oh, what'd you catch? What'd you catch? It's a gobblers.
So, yeah, these crazed, maddening fish people have a very rich,
Indeed.
sad lore that we're going to go ahead and dive in on. But what's your favorite fun fact about these
I'll go
these
first.
diaper-wearing fish, Jared?
That they wanted to believe in something so hard that they made it into reality. I think that's pretty hilarious.
Basically,
They
the
believed
roots
something
of
into
God, it
existence.
makes sense.
Koa.
Yes.
I mean, and not just like
They're so religious that they create gods.
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
just like, And then all of a sudden one day, but popped out.
You can do a whole campaign on, and it's something I've toyed with in our campaign, but we missed it. We missed a few beats.
It reminds me of like so many different comedy sketches where it's like there's a spaceship behind the moon or whatever, you know, those kind of crazy people that you always hear about. But then it actually came true in this, you know, in the Kuo Toa's actual life. It's kind of weird.
It's like, you see this goldfish? You see this goldfish? If you piss 8 off and 100 of its friends, you're done for, dude. They're just gonna summon a god to come wipe your ass off the face of the earth. You know what I mean? Just don't piss off the goldfish.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if I have many fun facts about the Kuo Toa, other than when it was created, it was actually not created as part of like the main Dungeons and Dragons campaigns or monster manuals. It was created for a module.
Yes, they were.
It was created for Dwellers of the Forbidden City module. So that's my fun fact. It was not an original monster with the monster manuals. It was in a Fiend folio, I think later, but part of a module. What about you, Tony?
My favorite little fun fact is that they also have their own form of fish therapy to work through the trauma that is just embedded in them, embedded in their DNA over the years of slave torture from mind flayers. It's insane. It's crazy. I feel like it's Armos' dream. Like the Maddening Darkness that he does is pretty much the after effect that they lived. Like,
You know
this is the result.
I kind of like these guys.
Yeah, they're great. They're so good. But are they evil? We'll get into that.
Good question.
Are they evil, though?
I will say something else that's kind of funny is that just the way they look is
Yes.
unblinking eyes, twitchy movements, weird speech patterns, unsettling.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You know what I mean? Just everything around them is funny and unnerving at the same
Yeah,
time.
so the first edition Kuo Toa is they're literally fish people in diapers. So funny. Second edition, I don't know what they were thinking with this one. It's just like a
I was
fish.
literally about to bring it up.
Yeah.
The second edition is my favorite thing ever. It might be my favorite D&D art ever created. I'm going to share this on the screen for y'all to see.
That's third edition.
Oh,
That's third edition
Kuo
Kuo Toa. Yeah, the second one is so nice and well done. The third one is like, what's going on here?
Yeah, the third edition. Where am I?
Listening and not looking at the same time. It is like a gecko with long arms, very skinny, with frog feet, and delicately holding a spear with just the fingertips.
It's got Ozempic face. Look.
Yeah. Yes, it's got. It definitely weighed a lot more at some point, and then went on a fast for about 2 years.
Yeah, it's been working out. That's a good transition, by the way, Jared. That's a good little note. If you are on Spotify, you'll probably be able to watch this as a YouTube, or not a YouTube video, but as a video, along with the podcast. So that's a new feature we're going to try with this one. And if you like it, let us know in the comments, because you can comment, and we'll have a little poll.
Yes.
Which go down below. We're going to have a poll for what you think is the best art for the Kuo Toas for D&D.
Well, with that being said, we gotta show the second edition, because it might be the best one.
All right, let's go through this. So this is first edition.
Fish people in diapers. Zoom that in. Enhance.
The fourth one is the one I was talking about. So that one, that's the second edition one.
Yes.
And those listening, it's basically a fish with arms and legs and a tail, but very chubby.
Oh, yeah.
Very round.
Well fed. And then it went on a diet. With Ozempic
Yeah.
in third edition.
Yeah. And then the third edition is the one we saw.
Yep.
And
My
then,
favorite.
And then fourth edition, they took some protein and got jacked out of them eyes. They're pretty much
Real.
Murlocs. Look at them.
Yeah.
They look so cool in fourth edition. Before going off on a tangent, everything in 4E looks like it's been working out for years. Like every monster is like super jacked, lean, like nothing's fat for the most part. Everybody just looks brolic and ready to fight.
Yeah, underbites too.
Yeah, a lot of underbites. And then 5th edition, I don't know what happened. It's like
That will happen here. I will never make a Kuo Toa look like this in my campaign.
What? I mean, there's a certain charm to him. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean, yeah.
It's like if you saw this guy and he was stranded without his mom, you would help him out.
I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. You need help, buddy? You need help, buddy? Come here. Let me get you a snack.
when I used them, this was not the fish person I was imagining.
Oh.
100% 3rd edition.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
But
that
yeah, the
is what they look like.
Yeah, 5th edition definitely like went back to its roots, and he did that with a lot of their creatures. It definitely closely resembles the 1st edition Kuo Toa for sure, or 2nd edition. Yeah. Any other little facts before we get into the juice?
No, let's squeeze that juice.
Squeeze that
it for all
juice?
it's worth.
All right.
Oh, actually, I do have a
You got another squeeze?
ChatGPT joke. Ask ChatGPT if it can make me a joke about Kuo Toas. So at the end of each segment, I'll give you a new one. Here's the first one it spat out. A Kuo Toa priest walks into a tavern. The bartender says, "What do you have?" The priest responds, "Just some belief power, make it divine."
Boo.
I don't think ChatGPT is very good at telling jokes, guys.
They nailed the inflection.
You know what? And that's the last time we're doing that segment.
I promise you they get a little better. Not a lot better.
I believe that.
Not a lot better. But they do get better than that. All right, Tony, what are we talking about now?
All right, let's get into
history.
The history, the juice of the Kuo Toas, and they date all the way back to 1978. They were created by Gary Gygax and first appeared in a module appeared in 1978 Dungeons and Dragons module Shrine of the Kuo Toa. That's when they were first introduced.
Even before what I had. So
Yeah.
it's not Dwellers of the Forbidden City. It was in the what was it called?
Shrine of the Kuo Toa. It was introducing them for like the first time in first edition.
Cool.
So I never played first edition. Definitely didn't play it as it was released. But a lot of that stuff, because first edition came in that shoebox edition that you'll often hear about it, the red box version. A lot of stuff came out like magazines and modules. And I think when Advanced Dungeons and Dragons first came out, the official first edition, I could be skewing that a little bit, was when manuals actually started to be released. Other than that, it was just been released on like, you get it as it comes out type thing. Because everything was pamphlets when people first started playing in the late 70s. That's as much as I know about it from there. So that's how new monsters got introduced in gameplay. It was like new module, new monsters. So 1978, that module introduced them. And they are introduced as a race that was slaved by mind flayers. So before they introduced, like years and years before the shrine of this module takes place, mind flayers have captured and enslaved Kuo Toas. And because of that, they mentally broke them and gaslit them, that when they were finally set free because they were too crazy to be slaves anymore and the mind control like essentially stopped working, they became their own civilization with like theocracy. It's nuts. They have their whole society down to a T on how it works with population control. And we're going to dive into that.
Yes, which I briefly mentioned.
In your intro.
For those that don't know what a theocracy is, it's basically any culture that's run by priests. So the priests are like these overlords that, you know, as they have the best, whatever the best scripture is of the Blittle Bloop, they are.
Yes,
over
the
and...
Blittle Bloop. All hail the bloop. Yo, I've seen pictures of the Blittle Bloop. I get it. Look, I'm not a fish guy. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't kick the Blittle Bloop out of bed either. It's basically a sexy woman. It's a sexy crayfish, is what it is.
Should we just talk about the Blittle Bloop real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about the
Blue
Bloop.
Big
That's
main
the thing. Yeah,
right?
that's the thing. Yeah.
Correct me if I have this wrong, but when you first talked to us about these creatures, you described it as that there are a bunch of different tribes, but if all the tribes at one point somehow all happen to all believe in the same version of the Blittle Bloop, it exists and is brought into the world.
No, not necessarily. So the Blittle Bloop was something that they've created and is like the god and like the staple. So the Blittle Bloop is an actual goddess. It is a a sexy woman with a crayfish for a head with giant lobster claws, and she's as tall as a building. She is massive. And she does a lot of things, and she'll randomly bless a specific Kuo Toa at birth that becomes a Leviathan. We'll talk about that a little later, the different types of Kuo Toas that you can use. Yeah, they have a challenge rating 14. They are deadly. But it is an actual goddess that they worship. But they can still manifest gods if they believe hard enough.
Yes. Okay.
So how I did it in our campaign was that there were 3 small tribes in this forest that all made up a small collective. What I was kind of hinting at, if you guys explored like the first cave well enough, if you went back and kept tabs on Ghibli, was that potentially you can like unite the tribes to make a god to fight potentially like Vero or whatever, where you guys are now, and use Ghibli's influence to have that on your side. But we never went down that road. And when you guys were heading to Red City, I know we're getting off on a side note here. While you guys were heading to Red City, I tried to like lure you guys a little bit just to ask questions, but it was never taken as bait. So it just became like an optional thing for you guys to explore if you wanted to. But any tribe of Kuo Toas, if they believe hard enough, that's all they need to do. Believe hard enough, they can will a god into existence and call it whatever they want. And it can be anything.
The god creators. Here's an image, by the way, of...
That is a image, yep.
Of their god.
Goddess. It's a lady.
Goddess.
Goddess.
Does this have a stat block? Like
Little bloop?
An actual...
I haven't seen one. Maybe in earlier editions, I'm sure.
There are homebrew ones that people have put out there, but...
Yeah. They're called aspects. So whenever you see a stat block for a god, they're called aspect of the Little bloop or the aspect of team, etc. But if a group of Kuo Toas are led astray, because some do believe in demons, some believe in the Demogorgon. Some of them favor the Demogorgon. So if you play the module Out of the Abyss, they're all focused on the Demogorgon because they mainly live in the Underdark. They're not inherently evil as rules is written, but they don't trust anything. They have serious trust issues.
So first, they were enslaved by the Mind Flayers, which changed them forever. And then they were they're belief-driven to kind of as a coping mechanism because of all of that. And then they were kind of forced into the Underdark. When
by society.
Yes, and then that's where they adopted and / became fish folk that we know now.
Yeah, they're just super heavily religious. The leaders, as Dan had mentioned, is a priest. And the priest is called the Vai Pulgal, which translates to priest king.
Priest king?
Yes.
From what I read, they're pretty prone to like going mad.
Yeah.
Which leads to a lot of chaos. So the priests just like go absolute batshit crazy. And I feel like that's a fun thing to bring into any of your campaigns. If you really want to venture into the Underdark or venture into anything aquatic, I guess, slightly aquatic for your campaigns.
I think the cool thing about them, like their history aside, is that they could believe in anything or pray to anything or like, whatever it may be. And then I think that's where it's like kind of fun to put them into a campaign, is that yeah, you could make it the Little Bloop or whatever, or you could make it, some crazy thing that it could be, or you can make it nothing. You can make them like super obsessed with spoons and they are looked at as like a holy object or something crazy like that. So or you can make it like all of a sudden see a certain player and then all of a sudden they're, attached to that player. Like, oh, we're going to follow you to the end of the earth.
What else, Tony, as far as lore is concerned?
So, like you said, the theocracy, and they have a strict structure in which how their tribe works. And there's the priest king, then there's the priest dukes, also known as the Orgal Apul Gupan. Yes, that is their official Kuo Toa's name. So there goes that. Then the enforcers, as you would say, are the whips and monitors. They're definitely a product of their time because they are a race that heavily slaves people. They will, if they catch you and you are a somewhat intelligent creature, they will put you to work. But if you're like a giant lobster, they sacrifice you to their god. It's either you become the food for the god or you work in their mining pools, whatever their society needs at the time. So they have whips and monitors, and there are also known as the secret fish police.
Secret
And
fish police.
these secret fish police undergo essentially therapy, where they get less mad so they can keep everything in line. And this is that's developed over second and third edition.
So they don't have the FBI; they have the SFP. Got it.
Yeah,
Understood.
secret fish police.
Mm-hmm.
The SFP. Write that into a campaign. I don't have anything else as far as the basic history is concerned. You said we're moving on to their culture next.
Yes, how they live, how they're built, and why they do what they do.
Yeah, I'll start that one off for sure. But before we start that one off, I have another joke for y'all.
Oh, here we go.
I thought we removed this segment.
Here's another one from ChatGPT before we move on. Why do Kuo Toa make terrible bosses?
Why?
Every meeting ends with a sacrifice to the blittle bloop.
I feel like you need to add a little more fish accents when you say that goddess's name. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
You gotta wriggle.
Yeah.
I feel like you just
Alright,
need
continue.
gargle water when you're trying to.
Oh, here we go. Ready? Here's
talk. Oh, that's it.
Too much water.
That was the one. That was the one.
I was not gargling water. I just needed a quick sip. This is where we get into the dark side culture stuff, because this is the stuff that interested me the most. Maybe it's because horror is one of my favorite genres. But so when they're raising the Kuo Toa, they raise them in breeding pools.
The drowning pools.
The drowning pools is another way to put it. Basically, the young are called fingerlings, and they're raised in these segregated pens until they're mature. But even as they're maturing, they take the weakest ones, and if you don't know what a culling is, basically means you are getting rid of the youngins, the weak ones, killing them off, because you want to only keep the strongest, maybe possibly the smartest, depending on your society. But for these guys, the strongest, and they do interbreed with humans.
I didn't see that in my research. What?
Take that as you will. And they usually last around 60 years in age.
Wow.
No, they live longer than that. That's when they go into the culling is at age 6. From what I looked up.
60?
Oh, did you say 60 or 6?
I did say 60.
Oh, 60. Oh. My bad.
They last 6 years old. Oh, that's short.
Short but sweet. Turtles essentially, but
yeah.
Separate episode. Yeah, so they as what Dan said, they put their fingerlings through a culling trial, and one of the trials, from what I've seen, is a underwater maze with a large manta ray type monstrosity known as an ixin, which is a really big manta ray or really big stingray, and that's let loose to eat the fingerlings, and those who live are welcomed into the society. And this is a way where they control their population, because they don't want to overfeed, because God forbid there's too many fish.
In my personal opinion, I think that's just luck based. I don't think they're smart enough to understand how luck based that is.
Right.
Right away, they could easily eat one of the stronger ones, and they're busy eating that strong one while the weak ones are swimming away.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
They're just,
they
The survival
call
of the fittest at that point. It's just
you could be strong but slow.
yeah.
Kutos are
Right.
fast. They gotta be fast. They gotta be in and out of that pond. Okay,
Gotta be quick. And you gotta be quick witted, because if you didn't realize what was happening, you get eaten right away.
that's it. You don't want to do that.
You could have been the chosen one, but then sprained your ankle the day before, and then all of a sudden
Right.
now I'm in the culling, and okay, could I just wait till this is fixed up?
Picture this: you're a little fish, all right? You got one of those neck grabbers, the little pincers. You gotta be in and out. You gotta be in and out, neck down. That's it. You miss, you're dead. You get a little through fighter on you, you're done.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but are there not chosen ones like Jared is saying?
There-
That Little Blue blesses?
Yes, those are the Kuo Toa Leviathans.
Yes.
And they're 20 feet tall. They're a challenge rating 14, and they pretty much just swallow you whole. They are blessed by the blue bloop do not need to go under a culling because they are the culling.
Wow.
Jared, if you were the chosen one, what would your little blue kraken look like?
Ooh. So in Dota, there's a guy named Slardar.
Okay.
And he would look like that. Yeah, he's kind of like a
Oh,
snake.
I see it.
You know what
I
I'm talking
see
about?
it.
It's not a Kuo Toa. That's a merfolk.
Well, first off,
That's a...
he is the chosen one. He can look however he wants.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's chosen or not. I'm just saying it's merfolk.
It's a kraken. The kraken's gonna look different. This is what he's getting at. This right here.
Yeah. Woof.
Don't think about this part, Tony. Think about this part.
He's got a kraken-like face. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that'd be your kraken. I like it. I would absolutely be like the oh goodness. There's a movie, is it Monsters versus Aliens? Yeah, Monsters versus Aliens. I would look like the giant furry hamster creature that's trying to eat the city with
the
its
four
cross eyes, but like that cross-eyed look, but 3rd edition Kuo Toa. That would be my kraken for sure. Mix those, combine those in whatever way you imagine. That's what mine would look like
Amazing.
if I was the chosen one.
I would just be just a giant Kuo Toa. I think that's the funniest. It's like the funniest thing you can do. It's just like a really big one.
Just big.
Like, honey, I blew up the kid. So, on the topic of different Kuo Toas, so we just went over the Leviathan. The Leviathan can be blessed in many different ways if you're choosing. And it's really open sourced right from the get-go, from all the way back from like 2nd and 3rd edition to like to fit into any campaign, because these are generally early campaign monsters, but if you really dig into them, you can base a whole campaign around them. And it makes sense about why they're involved in so many modules and stuff. And I didn't realize until I, really fished for this stuff. But speaking of fish, let's talk about the secret fish police. So what makes them different? Why does therapy make them better than everyone else? As I mentioned before, there are whips and monitors. Those are the two types of Kuo Toas that you would fight in a large encounter. And they're not necessarily strong in their own. In a 1v1, you could probably take them on at low level, but when they're grouped up on you, with their combined powers, they can really overwhelm you pretty easily. And they're Armos's and Minus's worst enemy if I make them super late game, because they can see through invisibility. They have otherworldly perception. Every Kuo Toa has this. They always know where you are. It's amazing. Even if you're on the ethereal plane, they know where you are. It's
a
cool.
sneak peek into the abilities.
Yeah.
We'll talk about next.
Foreshadowing.
So when it comes to whips, the difference between whips and monitors is the spellcasting. Yeah, whips gain spellcasting, while monitors have higher AC and they use their wisdom modifier to increase it. So they're the tankier ones. Those are the ones that have the sticky shield where your weapons can get stuck to.
You're spoiling all the ability stuff.
I guess, yeah, you're right. I'm jumping the gun. First time doing this, all right? Relax. Relax. What are you, the secret fish police or something? I can't talk about the fish the way I want to?
No.
Oh my god. And the secret fish police undergo heavy mental training to reduce the madness, to keep the Kuo Toan traditions in place, to keep them balanced. These are the bread and butter of every tribe. So yeah, they do follow the priests in their own little tribe, and it looks like the whips and monitors in between, the slave driving, they keep the priests in check and make sure everybody's doing their things and killing off the fingerlings who don't make it through the underwater maze quick enough.
I gotta say, it just seems like the madness that they have is kind of self-inflicted trauma with these.
Self-inflicted?
fingerlings. I mean, they're putting their fingerlings through a culling at a young age, and then they grow up mad.
Whoa. Spartans?
Seems like they're...
I would call them the Spartans of D.
Putting them through
Okay.
warrior training.
Right? Maybe like a little, hey, you're okay, little buddy. A little compassion would go a long way with these guys.
There's nothing self-inflicted about it. They were gaslit this way due to mind flayers. All right? Let's get that.
It just sounds like generational trauma is what I'm going to say.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, it is.
One generation had to go
Definitely.
through something, and now they're taking it out on every single one because it's required by...
Right.
Oh,
Seems
what?
a little
You're
strange.
supposed to mentally heal better? I never had that opportunity. Okay, let's forget the subject.
Is there anything else culturally? Because you already basically touched on the fact that if another creature they find is smart, they'll put them to work.
Yes, so
They're big on that.
Yes, they're really big on. So this is like a hot topic in just old D&D. You know, slavery's bad, and you want to stop that. So these are one of the races that you want to do.
Easy to hate.
Yeah,
you
very
want to do them, or you want to
easy to hate. Yeah. No, it's easy to hate slave fish people. You know what I'm saying? You want to
pause.
You want to stop the bad, is what I'm saying.
No, you just said you wanted to do them, so I was just clarifying.
Well, they do interbreed with people, right?
Yes, they do.
I don't know. Have you seen the blue boop? You seen that sexy crayfish? I'm just saying.
We did show you the backside of the little blue.
Don't pop my bubble, okay, then. Would you think that they're necessarily evil, or is it just the generational trauma forcing them to do it?
Yep. Look at poor Ghibli. Ghibli was a good kid.
Yeah, I guess they're a product of their environment, right?
Definitely a product of their environment. There's nothing in there that says they're evil. Like the Blitterbloop isn't an evil goddess; it's a fish goddess. And underwater civilization, like any underwater creatures, usually you're smaller, so I eat you.
I would argue that's how a lot of creatures work.
Yeah, the food chain. No, fair enough. Fair enough. I see my point. I see your point, which is essentially my point.
I see my point that I made for you.
That's really all I got for their, life facts.
I definitely think they're we're gonna kind of get into the abilities and how we'd work them into a campaign next, and it's probably a good segue, right? Because I would say it's how you DM it, obviously.
Yes, but I would like to say one more thing while we're on this topic. Some notable Kuo Toas, which I did not know existed. There's some notable ones. So they are Nogath, a one-time senior whip and cleric of the Blitterbloop. She found the ancient aberrant artifact Dreamheart and attempted to start her own cult. Later, she lost Dreamheart to a kraken. Gethshmeath, the kraken Gethshmeath, was killed by the aberrant Kuo Toa and enslaved by a magical orb. Another notable one is Kurampa, Nogath's second whip, who aided her quest and discovered the Dreamheart. And the last one that I have here is Shushar the Awakened, a peaceful Kuo Toa hermit. He had adopted a pacifist philosophy and refused to fight, even to defend himself.
Look at that.
Look at that.
He overcame with peace and forgiveness. Forgiving the trauma that was bestowed upon him.
You got the best one, though.
As Shushar once said,
you forgot the best one, by the way.
which is the best one?
Ghibli.
Oh, Ghibli! No. See,
you forgot about Ghibli.
how could I forget about Ghibli?
The best one in the best podcast ever invented, D&D404.
That's a good shot. I should go listen to it. I should go listen to it.
Yo, go to the Wikipedia page and add that in.
Add that to Ghibli of D&D404.
Notable.
All right, you've been waiting for it. Here's the next joke.
I wasn't waiting.
What's a Kuo Toa's favorite band? The Sea Mothers and the Belief Boys.
If you give me like 2 minutes, I think I could write.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Better joke than...
It makes me want to punch my monitor, Dan.
Oh, man.
Matter of fact, the secret fish police are on their way
Oh, yeah.
to come arrest you for that one.
They're going to net me for that one.
You're going to be sacrificed alongside the giant lobsters.
All right, but let's talk about their abilities, because that's a fun
Yes.
one.
Abilities, combat tactics. How would you use them, Dan?
You touched on my favorite one. Obviously, they got sticky shields.
Shields.
Yeah, you hit it, you get stuck.
So for combat and tactics, I think we're gonna stay on top of 5e. That's the system we're most familiar with, and what most, I would say, a good portion of players are on. So we're gonna stick with the 5e tactics.
I guess we can just do a brief rundown. I guess I'll give you a brief rundown. So they always had sticky shields, and they could emit blinding spittle in first edition. High resistance to magic due to their slime coating. In second edition, they obviously retain the shields, but were given more detailed stats for priests. That's when you start to get like the priests stuff, like actual stat blocks for the priests. Third edition, you got more stuff for like the Blitterbloop and like lore enhancements, more than so much mechanical stuff. They became a bit more balanced, but that's where you get Tony's stuff, where they could see invisibility. They could see through you. And then we're not even going to talk about 4th edition, but 5th edition is where we're getting into the juicy
Why
stuff.
can't we talk about 4E? Why are you hating on 4E? I understand you're not allowed to move diagonal, and you can only use certain abilities when combat is initiated, but why can't we talk about 4E?
Nah, we can talk about them. They're a bit simplified in 4E. They kept like the shield stuff and the spittle stuff, and gained some general like utility stuff for like water combat, obviously, and aquatic stuff. But it wasn't as interesting as all the other editions.
Oh yeah, 4E definitely cut a lot of the fat and some of the muscle, unfortunately.
But we are now in 5th edition or 2024 edition, whichever you want to say. I don't think they're really much different.
Important disclaimer. At the time of recording, the 2024 Monster Manual has not been released yet.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to change that much, though.
That's my guess. My guess is they don't change, really. But run us through 5th edition, Tony.
Yeah, so 5th edition Kuo Toas have all the same stuff, and they also have some downsides. So they have like a sunlight sensitivity, which is why I had put them in the forest. And they carry over all their traits from earlier editions. And when you look at their stat blocks, they come with variants. So if you look at a Kuo Toa, and then you can see that they have monitor and whip variants, and then archpriest stat blocks. And then you also have another creature called a gulper, which is a giant frog Kuo Toa. Like it's a fish and a frog had a baby, and that's what it is. They just look like giant fish frogs. I really don't know how else to describe it. They got fins everywhere too. Dan, if you could pull up a picture of a gulper,
I'm absolutely doing that
or
right
juxtapose a gulper, maybe over my face, I don't know. But essentially, what a gulper is what a warg is to orcs and goblins. It's a dog version. It's like the dog creature that is always by a Kuo Toa side. And they use that to help capture their prey, whoever they're hunting. And they have this ability that if they swallow you, you take damage over time, and if you're in there for too long, you can digest it. Pretty straightforward.
Oh,
actually, there's a little dinosaur in there too. I didn't realize. Look at the arms. Yeah, pretty nasty looking. I'd be scared of that. I'd be scared of that.
Yeah,
that thing's crazy.
Wow.
What's its CR rating, I guess?
I think
Does
it's
it
a
say?
3, if I'm not mistaken.
It's only got an armor class of 16. It's got to be pretty low, but that thing looks menacing.
it looks like they're a challenge rating of 13.
Wow, 13. I was way off.
This might be a custom version, though. I don't know if I'm in the actual stat block.
I actually don't know if they're technically in 5e.
Oh, I don't think they are.
Yeah. I'm not too sure. I don't want to speak on anything I don't know too much about. But they definitely are a type of monster. Then I think next time I run Kuo Toas, I will definitely have them in play because it's awesome. They might be added to the new Monster Manual. I can't see why they wouldn't add that. They are very deadly in force. I would say if I were to introduce them at like 3rd or 4th level, I would probably have 3 to 4 Kuo Toas per character, and then maybe like one of these, one of them would be an archpriest. To be casting spells, or at least a few of them would be whips for the spell casting, because I think their whole point is to try to capture you, not kill you, which could lead us to some exciting plot advancement and how the 3 of you ended up in our campaign, and how Drell hit his awesome level 3 subclass.
That's right. That's where he, is that where he raged out for the first time?
That is, yeah, he leveled up to level 3 and went to a rage. No. So
That was after we got captured, right?
yeah, he didn't go he was a barbarian yet. He went to battle master, but I had him go into like a cool moment with his rage for story reasons later on, if it won't spoil anything. But he basically beat up a bunch of fish with his bare hands. It was like a cool moment to rescue you guys, because you guys fell into that trap like hook, line, and sinker. So like they're really meant. pun intended. They're ambush creatures head on. They're gonna lose, so like they want to lure you into their turf so they can catch you one-on-one and trap you in nets and their pincers and try to separate you, which is what they did to you guys. And you guys, all you had to do was just like carry on and not take the bait, but you guys were eager for a fight. What do you think, Dan? What do you think, Jared? Yeah, how would you run them?
I probably wouldn't use them very often unless the campaign specifically revolved around an aquatic atmosphere, a cave atmosphere. I would more so want to run a campaign, like a shorter campaign around them than have them briefly in a campaign. I think the Gulper I did not find in my research, so that is one I would absolutely like to add.
Yeah, it kind of changes things, doesn't it? Makes you want to mess around with them a little, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would heavily work in the theocracy aspect. That's the thing I find the most fun. Whatever campaign I ran with them in it, I would have a couple small priests like that are maybe trained and then one head priest, As the players find more out about the Kuo Toa, I love how you did different tribes of the Kuo Toa. I would definitely steal that and work tribes into mine. I wouldn't want to have like just one group or collective, if that makes sense.
They kind of had like their own ideals. How they did things.
Yeah. And I like the idea of these competing priests and having these competing priests giving these players quests. And that's a really good hook for the players to go, oh, not only is it revealing more about the world, but I have to decide as a player, are these the Kuo Toas that are nice and telling the truth, or is it the other Kuo Toas that are nice and telling the truth? And you decide which ones you want to help. And I would revolve my campaign around which tribe do you help, and the outcomes would change based on which one you help.
I love your train of thought. I think it's a great way to introduce like the theos and gods into your world. It's a great gateway. To fantasy religion. What about you, Jared?
How I would add the Kuo Toa to a campaign is what you're saying?
Or how would you use them?
Initially the question.
Yeah.
For comedy gold. Like honestly, start off with them being super creepy, cult-like. Make it very ominous and like obvious that it's like a joke, and then later on, all of a sudden, this, joke comes to fruition and is actually something menacing.
Yeah,
is so good.
I think they make great like gatekeepers. Not in a you shouldn't play D&D gatekeeper. I mean like the tip of the iceberg into what a greater story is. So like Dan, to your point when you said like you have the archpriests fighting for what belief is the best belief, only for them like, and that like the temple they worship is just the tip of the iceberg into what's actually inside the temple. And then you descend and the temple could be holding a god or multiple gods, which is why there's so many different beliefs, and it could just like branch out from there.
What I'm taking from that, and I don't know if it's the exact same page, but I think I agree, is I absolutely think they're great gatekeeper monsters who are guarding something, the thing you need, whether it's specifically for them or for someone else, and they have it all wrong. To Jared's point, for comedic gold, they're like, no, this is gonna be the thing that brings back the little bloop. And it's actually just like they stole someone's prized heirloom that you're getting back for someone. It could be as simple and small as that, or as big as introducing a new god, like you said. Or maybe it's an object for a mind flayer's ritual or something. Who knows?
Like I said, I made the joke about them being obsessed with like a spoon or something like that. Having them, anytime spoon's ever involved, there's a Kuo Toa that's marching in to try to steal it or something like that.
It's all about the positive emptiness!
Right, and then once they collect so many, that could be like an unlock into, a catastrophe that's happening all of a sudden. That's
like Jared's teetering on the Matrix. There is no spoon.
Right.
You look down and you realize as you were eating your porridge, you misplaced your spoon.
And there's just wet footprints leading out of the inn.
Yeah.
And then you wake up at night and you feel clammy all of a sudden and realize your eating utensils are all gone.
Love that, man.
Toes just ransacking down for spoons.
I will say, it is a creature, and it's one of those things that if you're in, you know how to do a city, like you know how to do like people traveling, running into like monsters, blah blah blah. But when you run into this, it is almost like running into, I don't know, like an Amish countryside. You know what I mean? It's just like it's so out of the ordinary that it makes the world feel so much bigger because you're like, oh, there's a lot going on here. Hang on. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
They are definitely
But fun.
interesting.
You can make them fun.
Very fun.
In combat, I don't really know how else to answer it other than what you said. Like, definitely, they're meant to be kind of pack monsters. You know, you definitely want to overwhelm your party more than do lots of damage with them.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that comes to mind is I really like layered combat. So you need to solve A, B, and C to get to the last problem, you know? Okay, you have a couple priests that are casting a barrier around the main priest that is doing a ritual, right? And then you have a bunch of little bloops trying to stop you from getting to those priests to stop them from, and as you take care of the priests on the outsides in the triangle formation or whatever it is, the barrier gets weaker and weaker until you can get through to that main priest, you know? So that's probably like the grand combat I would think of if you're doing one of the big story ritual elements. But otherwise, on simpler terms, yeah, just throw a bunch at your players and see what they do.
Yeah, just throw poop at them. Throw fish poop at them. See if
yeah.
they take the bait.
There you go. There you go. I think, yeah, combat, I like Dan's thing, is that having some kind of, like, I don't know, something interesting other than there's 5 of them, go hit them, you know what I mean, having something kind of fun that they do that works with them. So what I was going to draw a line to before the combat, and it kind of makes sense to do it in the combat, is that they're connected to our World of Warcraft Murlocs, is what they are kind of similar to. And if you've ever played that game, they're a little fishy weird, but there's a lot of them in a small area is the big thing that makes them a little dangerous.
So, little fun fact about 4E. 4E was one of the most drastic changes to any D&D, and then redacted in 5E because of World of Warcraft and the rise of MMOs. That's when 4E came out, was when World of Warcraft was at its height, and Wizards of the Coast was like, we need to make money, so they tried to adopt a paper version of MMOs, and that's why the combat is so different, and all the creatures look like World of Warcraft monsters for the most part, which is why Kuo Toas look like Murlocs, and such a drastic difference, because everything in MMOs back there were like big, beefy, big chest, tiny waist monsters, essentially. So that's why they look like that, which I actually love that design. The art in 4E is amazing across the board. But yeah, they definitely look like Murlocs. Love to see a little bloop in World of Warcraft. Love to see it. Little bloop, hate to see me coming. And just a little food for, so I think we're good on combat, right? We're good on combat.
Oh, we're switching. Do we need a new joke?
Well, I wanted to have a fun fact.
Actually, new joke is
wait.
Kuo Toa and Drow working together. Ha! That's like a fish shaking hands with a spider. Awkward but effective.
Okay. Did you lick the spider in Baldur's Gate, Dan? Did you lick the spider?
I got a better joke.
Lick the spider?
Oh, did you not get up to that part? The second act, you never licked the spider?
I did not know you could lick a spider.
There's a dead, spoilers, there's a dead spider, and one of the options is lick it. Nobody approves. Just so you know.
There's no video out there saying what happens because no one has done it.
Yeah.
I had a joke.
Oh,
I spent my time and I wrote myself
an actual joke.
Yes.
Good.
Kuo Toas are basically Alex Jones of Underdark. You give them enough time and they'll convince you that the crab Illuminati's controlling the tides and that the Illithid are with the government and turning the fish folk crazy, and that the shrimps are making the water the shrimps in the water are making them wish up forks instead of spoons.
The water is turning the Kuo Toas gay.
The water's making the grungs gay. Look at they're over here in the pond and they're kissing everybody. They're all kissing each other in the drowning pools.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. See, there's a good actual bit of humor there.
Honestly, Did we just unlock something in Alex Jones?
An NPC
As a Kuo Toa.
as a Kuo Toa.
We are teetering on something we don't want to be pulled into, boys. I'm just letting you know right now.
We don't need to elaborate anymore. People can draw their own conclusions, but I think this is a pretty good idea.
So, just a little factoid about Kuo Toas I want to drop on you before we move into the closing remarks. Kuo Toas fear drow elves because Kuo Toas are underdark creatures, and they fear the drow elves. However, they are still trading partners with the drow.
Explain.
I'm not gonna explain nothing. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you to reflect on Arc 1. It's all connected. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. There are so many stories for you to explore. The one you're on isn't the wrong one. It's just one of many.
One of many, as always.
I created 72,000 ending. No.
All right, what we're gonna do at the end here is we're gonna rate this monster.
Oh, okay. 1 to 10?
1 out of 10. Exactly what I was thinking. 1 out of 10.
10 being the best.
How many fish eggs? How many fish eggs?
Yeah, 1 out of 10 fish eggs.
Like, and what are we rating it on?
Think about how
Overall.
you could implement them into different campaigns, the versatility, how fun it is to run them, and the lore.
Oh, damn. Okay.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first, Dan.
So I think the lore is absolutely amazing. It's so amazingly ridiculous. Like, how can you not love that lore? It's easy to buy into monsters like that, and it's easy to kind of put that into a campaign with so much pre-written lore. So from that aspect, amazing. As far as territory though goes, it's a bit specific as far as like underground and water is concerned.
It's a fish.
Yeah, it's a fish. So it's a little specific. The stat blocks are pretty fun too. I think the sticky shield is unique. I think they're like a classic D&D character, D&D monster, and a classic D&D monster for me that's just like, it does the job, it does everything you need, is like a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10, all right.
7 out of 10 for me.
What about you, J-Man?
I think they're super fun. I'd give that a 10. What was the other thing? I was trying to write them down when you were saying it.
Your own points.
Anything from the lore?
Lore? I thought lore was the weakest part of them out of the ones that you mentioned. I thought the weakest out of all of them, because all the other ones I was giving
fish
10s.
aren't gaslit enough, Dan. That's the problem.
No.
You're not gaslit enough.
All the
Of
other
the categories, you say.
The other categories you mentioned off, I was like, that's a 10, that's a 10.
Versatility,
Ooh.
being able to put them in your campaign.
Yeah, versatility,
fun
absolutely.
to run.
Oh, what, Gate Kuo Toa fish wars
Yes.
aren't good enough for your
Versatility.
backstory?
I think they're a 10. They're super fun. I think the lore is the weakest out of all of the ones that you mentioned.
The
but
categories. Okay.
I'd still give it like an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Cool.
Yeah. They're not my favorite, but it's up there. Like, I can't think of one that's funner to mess with.
Mess with keyword, right? Because you can like, they put a little wrench into many different kinds of cogs in your campaign.
Yeah, and you can do whatever you want with them, which is pretty cool. Like, there's the Bleedle Bloop, which you could go by the book, or you can kind of do your own thing.
I'm going to give them... I mean, I love everything about them. I feel like they got a lot of love back in the day, and I think they're overlooked a lot now as just the generic water creature you would find at early level. I feel like they're treated as the goblins of the water by today's standard, because you just don't hear about them a lot. But honestly, I give them, as far as like lore, campaign, adaptability, even though I can't use them in the sky, Dan, I can't use the fish in my air campaign because they're embedded with water, Dan. I would still give them an 8 out of 10 overall. You have deep-rooted traditions, and they're set by a means beyond their control because Mind Flayers just mess everything up, which gives Mind Flayers another reason to be that much more hated in any campaign. And they have a lot of versatility, and I don't think they got as much love in the 2014 edition by removing some of the monsters like Gulpers, which I didn't know existed, or the Leviathans, because the Leviathan I don't think is in the standard 2014 manual. I think that's in the Abyss module where they're introduced. Might have been a stat block from that campaign module. I'm not entirely sure. But I feel like they didn't get the love they deserved until Into the Abyss finally came out.
So 7.66666666 repeating.
Of course.
Is our average.
Yep.
Not a bad score.
Not a bad score. Highly recommend you using them. Definitely for early games.
Yeah.
Recommended between 2 to 4. I think is the great sweet spot. Gives them it makes them a threat between levels 2 to 4.
Mm.
I think once you get into double attacks, like in fighter classes and stuff, they're pretty easy to overpower. So between 2 to 4, if you really want to like scare your players, but not completely overpower them, but make death an option.
And bring up that Kraken late game.
Yeah, good way to bring the Kraken late game. Yeah.
I gotta say, you gotta have a payoff somewhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, of course.
I would say sexy crayfish is the payoff, but each their own.
All right, you ready for my last joke?
No.
Oh,
It's not mine technically. I stole it from ChatGPT.
Oh, wow.
Kuo Toa empires fell apart because of mental domination. Who knew the fish people were terrible at school dynamics?
Yo, if Kuo Toa's had TikTok these days, they'd be the ones posting conspiracies about the almighty spoon and controlling the tides. There you go.
At least it would hold water.
They would think the Earth is a spoon.
The Earth is a spoon. Oh my
No,
goodness! Put
be a
that in your
bowl.
campaign.
Earth is a spoon.
The material plane is not round; it's a spoon.
We've been to the Underdark. We've seen the other side.
Well, that's it for this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We might do one more, but let us know how you feel down below about these type of episodes. And it's our first time doing it. We'll hone in on the craft. We'll get better. We'll solidify the format and give you some good knowledge about underrated monsters in the future.
Let us know what monsters you want us to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give us
no
good ones.
problem.
Don't give us
Please
kobolds.
do.
Give us like
You know what?
Yeah.
Give us any kind of feedback you got.
yeah,
Just
or just
see-
say
let's
hi.
hear about
Just say
it.
hi. Just say hi. Be like, hey Tony, you look good today. You look good. I need that boost.
Help Tony with his self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
No.
Oh,
What?
Hey everybody, what's poppin'? It's the biggest, it's the baddest, the strongest Minotaur you ever been blessed to see. It's Miranor, and I've decided to take a short rest from my workout to shout out this month's Patreon supporters. We're gonna start off with the Shadow Smokers. These badass heiferfluffers have one hell of an amazing journey rolling with me as my new crew. And first up, we have Julius Kendrick, and this go-getter really took a bull by the horns by giving me a new way to train my already flawless combat techniques. He's able to summon hordes of bone bros to help me fight. Some of them even spit green fire, and some are even made of metal. The glowing tattoos on his body kind of freak me out, I'm not gonna lie, bro. You need to get those treated, because when I stare at the tattoos, not only does it feel like I'm staring at the void of death, but I feel like I can hear children crying too, bro. You gotta get that checked out, Julius. Second is Dylan Snyder, and he's out of this world. Some would say he's from Mars. This Grong is leaps and bounds better than Midas. Midas only thinks he's cool because he can float, but Dylan is way cooler because he can hop way higher than Midas can float. As a matter of fact, Dylan can hop over 100 Midases, and you need a lot of Midases for this example because she's so short. Next, we have a Laura Dawnstar, and this gal really packs a punch in her kicks. Are you fond of the sound barrier? I hope not, because she destroys it with every swift kick she got. They boom, they zoom. Laura drops her foes harder than Minutes dropping the ball in dodgeball during Grace class. And last we have Bro Benjamin Hayes. Let me tell you something about this bro, alright? Let me tell you something about Benjamin. He knows how to take a hit, but he always gets back up. It's a privilege watching him work out in the field. A true tank to our militia. Our immovable Brock on the front line. A beacon of tenacity and fortitude. A dead save would hate to see Benjamin come. Alright, now let's move on and talk about these bloodshot bandit nerds. First up is Reigns, and much like The Rains Down in Africa by Toto, I can listen to this guy all day. Truly a knowledgeable nerd, despite being a horrific frog monster once. Minister wrote me a letter about that could not have been fun. And next is Shade Greyfire, and despite having the most edgelord name I've ever heard a bro have, he is at least way cooler than Menace, and he has a wicked dice collection. And next up is Amanda Dulong, aka Morgan Uthil, and I gotta say, I love the way you won that conversation against Armos. That guy couldn't talk himself out of a paper bag. Oh, but this next one, Sly, let me tell you about Sly. Sly is one slick bro and an excellent wingman. It's like whenever I need something, he has it. It's like he steals it or something. And last up is Artemis. And to be honest, I'm not a fan. You keep calling me a bully, and I kind of think that makes you a nerd. Oh, what, you want to go or something, bro? You want to go? Yeah, I'll see you after these shoutouts are done. Sorry, I let my anger get the best of me there. It's not very classy of a bro to get mad. However, let's talk about my last Deadlifts and Dungeons game we had with the City College alumni last week. Alright, so here's what happened, alright? Last session, Aiden, our fierce fighter, really dealt out some major damage. He was landing critical hits left and right. It kind of sucked though when he lost his lucky D20. Like when it hit the floor, it was like really loud, but we didn't know where it went. Now I'm thinking about it, it's kind of louder than your average dice, but you know, maybe he just lifts. Maybe he's just cool like that. But David the Chance came in hella clutch though. Like he rolled 2 nat 20s on his portent roll on his divination wizard. So we had some extra nat 20s to go around for sure. But then Craig Dawnbringer, he was the underdog in the last session for sure. Like the DM was kind of bullying me. It was totally uncool. I felt like I was being targeted. And Craig totally brought me back up to full HP with a little pre-workout and lay on hands. Patrick Wennerstrom and Saint Chaos decided to roll a new character last session, and together they both played like this crazy 2-headed ogre, sorcerer, rogue, druid build. It was crazy. Patrick and Chaos really went all out in combat. I mean, it kind of seemed a little power gamey in my opinion, but you know, to each their own, I'm not going to judge. I'm still stronger anyway. Oh, and Sergio Rodriguez. How could I forget our faithful, reliable healer? Sergio really kept the party alive. There was this one poison trap that we all got hit, but he was able to keep us up with his mass healing. The men's bathroom obnoxious guest was no match. It was crazy. All in all, it was a great Deadlifts and Dungeon session. Robert Crisp did a really good job running Drell's bodacious Undeadatorium module. It was awesome. It had everything. It had stinky men's bathrooms. It had large weights and giant monsters. But we totally steamrolled it. But Robert did a great job, despite targeting me constantly. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to Humbrea's heroes. Iton Tem 7, Native Nightmares, Jacob Matthew, and Drown. Thanks for lifting with me last week. Your combined weight totally helped me hit a new PR. Grant Fairman, Tyler Brisby, Ripcorded, Toby Lodge, and Sean Carroll. You guys are hella chill. Thanks for letting me in the Hacky Shit circle. Will Miller, Tazlin, Johnny Tar, D&D Virgin 69, Odie Mel 1203, and Man with Glass, thanks for helping me land my first pirouette in dance class. You guys are your best. Now I can totally turn on a dime. And that's it for this month's shoutouts for the Patreon supporters. If you would like to know how to become a Patreon supporter, go ahead and click that Patreon link down below, or go ahead and search on your cool keyboard at patreon.com/DND404, and you can find all the information there. And until then, have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Menace is a nerd!